All right, looks like we're diving into some Premier League drama today.
Oh, yeah.
You brought a whole stack of stuff about Chelsea.
Yeah.
We've got, let's see, some live coverage from that brutal Brighton match.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea's official website, looks like we've got their starting lineup here.
Yep.
And a Sky Sports article, this one seems to be dissecting their performance this season.
Yeah, some really insightful analysis in there.
So I'm sensing a theme here. Are we trying to figure out if this is just a little blip for Chelsea, or are we talking full-blown crisis?
Well, that's the million-dollar question right now, especially after that 2-0 loss to Brighton.
Yeah, that was
It's not just the loss itself.
Okay.
It's that Chelsea, like 2 months ago, we were talking about them as title contenders.
Right.
And now they're 14 points behind Liverpool.
14 points.
Yeah.
Oof, that's a tough one.
Yeah, good.
So let's break down that Brighton match.
Okay.
2-0? That's a pretty brutal scoreline. What happened?
It was rough. Brighton just controlled the game pretty much from the start.
Really?
Yeah, and actually the BBC live coverage has it's got some interesting fan comments and commentator observations.
Okay.
Like Gary Neville called Mitoma's first touch and finish for Brighton's first goal spectacular.
Wow.
But then he also said that the Chelsea keeper should have saved it.
So a bit of individual brilliance on Brighton's part, but maybe a bit of a blunder from Chelsea's as well.
Yeah, pretty much sums it up.
Okay.
And it wasn't just that one incident. Jamie Carragher pointed out how shaky Chelsea's back four looked the entire match.
Interesting, because they were supposed to have one of the strongest defenses in the league, right?
Exactly.
What happened?
Well, one thing that stood out from the BBC coverage was this comment from one of the reporters.
Okay.
Saying that Chelsea's squad went from being the biggest to threadbare.
Threadbare.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like they've lost a few key players to injuries and transfers, and they're really struggling to cope.
And speaking of missing players,
yeah,
you flagged Reece James and Jadon Sancho were both out for this Brighton match.
Yeah.
I mean, how much did their absence impact things, do you think?
Tough to say for sure, but losing two players of that caliber definitely weakens any attack.
Right.
Especially Sancho. He can be so creative on the pitch.
Yeah.
And he's on.
It feels like sometimes they rely on Cole Palmer to create absolutely everything.
Right.
And if he's not firing on all cylinders, the goals just dry up.
And that's something that Sky Sports actually touches on. It's a really fascinating point, is that a lot of teams these days are moving away from this idea of one superstar carrying the attack.
Right.
Like modern football is all about fluid, dynamic movement, where anyone can be a threat.
So are you saying Chelsea's a little tactically behind the times?
Possibly. And this is where Enzo Maresca, the head coach, comes into the picture.
Right. The young guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone was raving about at the start of the season.
The wonder kid, yeah.
The wonder kid.
And there's this really interesting disconnect between what he's saying and what we're actually seeing on the pitch.
What do you mean?
Like, he's claiming that Chelsea is actually exceeding expectations, but the results say otherwise.
Yeah.
And you read analysis from experts like what we're seeing in Sky Sports, and it just doesn't add up.
So is he delusional, or is there something we're missing here?
It's possible that he genuinely believes in his vision, but I think there is a growing concern that his tactics are actually part of the problem.
Like, how so?
He's doing some unusual things with his fullbacks, for example.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for us? Like, what's he doing, and why is it maybe not working?
Sure. So traditionally, fullbacks are expected to, bomb up and down the flanks, contributing both defensively and offensively.
Right.
But Maresca seems to be moving them more infield, almost like auxiliary midfielders.
Huh.
And the heat map for Malo Gusto in the Sky Sports article is really telling.
Oh, okay.
He's spending way more time in the center of the pitch than out wide.
So is he basically sacrificing attacking width to shore up the defense?
Exactly. And while that might work against some teams, it seems to be really stifling their attacking potential.
Yeah, especially against a team like Brighton, who are comfortable playing through the middle.
Yeah, they're happy to let you have the flanks and then just pick you apart through the center.
So is this a one-off tactical tweak, or is this a pattern we're seeing with Maresca?
It seems to be a consistent feature of his approach.
Okay.
And it's not the only issue.
What else?
There's also a lot of talk about his reluctance to change tactics or make substitutions, even when things are clearly going wrong.
Oh, so he's one of those managers.
Seems like it.
Married to the system, even when it's falling apart.
It's stubborn.
Sky Sports even mentioned a stat that shows Chelsea has made the fewest substitutions of any team in the league this season.
Oh, really? Wow.
And that stubbornness could be a big reason why they're dropping points from winning positions.
Right, because they go one up, and then they just seem to sit back and invite pressure.
Exactly, yeah. So is Maresca's, tactical inflexibility, is that what's really holding Chelsea back?
It's a big question, and I think it leads us to another really crucial point, which is Chelsea's lineup decisions for that Brighton match.
Yeah, let's dig into that starting 11, see if we can spot any clues about what Maresca's thinking was.
Yeah.
I'm particularly curious about the goalkeeper situation.
Yeah.
They went with Philip Jorgensen, right?
That's right.
Instead of Robert Sanchez, who's been their main keeper this season.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Well, I think that decision says a lot about the pressure Maresca is under.
Okay.
He's clearly not afraid to make big calls, even if it means dropping a seasoned player like Sanchez.
So maybe he's not as inflexible as we think.
Maybe.
But then if he's willing to shake things up in goal, why is he so hesitant to adjust his tactics during a match?
Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a question only Maresca can answer.
Right.
But what we can do is look at the evidence, analyze his decisions, and try to piece together this puzzle.
All right. I'm game if you are.
Let's do it.
So we've talked about Maresca, we've talked about the tactics, some of those lineup decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the players? I mean,
Yeah.
are they actually performing up to their potential?
That's a great question. It's easy to get caught up in the manager and the tactics.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's the players who have to deliver on the pitch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And, we've said how Chelsea relies a bit too much on Cole Palmer.
Right.
But what about everyone else? Is anyone stepping up?
That's where things get interesting. That's where we kind of have to go beyond just goals and assists.
Okay.
Are the midfielders creating enough chances?
Right.
Are the defenders winning their individual battles?
Mm-hmm.
Are those wide players providing enough width and penetration?
And I remember that fan comment from the BBC live coverage.
Oh, yeah.
They said this was the least exciting Chelsea team they'd seen in 50 years of supporting the club.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, surely the players must be feeling that pressure too.
Absolutely. And when confidence is low, it can be a vicious cycle.
Right.
Mistakes lead to more mistakes. And suddenly you've got a team that's afraid to take risks or express themselves.
So how do you break that cycle?
Yeah.
How do you get some of that swagger back?
It's a tough one. Well, a few things Chelsea could try.
Okay.
First, they could look at bringing in some reinforcements during the next transfer window.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Remember that threadbare squad comment?
Oh, yeah.
They need more depth, especially in attack.
Yeah, for sure.
But even with new players, they still need a system that lets them actually, flourish,
Right, which brings us back to Maresca
Yeah.
and how he sets the team up.
Exactly. And I think the key for Maresca is finding a balance.
Okay.
He obviously values defensive solidity.
Yeah.
But he needs to find a way to unlock the attacking potential of this team without sacrificing that defensive structure.
But wouldn't a more defensive approach make sense given how they've been struggling to hold on to leads?
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
But being too defensive can backfire too.
How so?
It can invite pressure, make your team look passive.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot, that blend of tactical discipline and individual flair.
So maybe he needs to give players like Madueke and Amido a bit more freedom to express themselves.
Exactly. Give them the license to take risks, try things, make mistakes, learn from them.
Yeah.
Because right now, it feels like they're playing within themselves, afraid to make a mistake.
Yeah. And that lack of confidence, it can be contagious.
Oh, absolutely. Spreads through the team like wildfire.
Yeah.
And that's where Maresca's leadership really comes into play.
Okay.
He needs to be more than just a tactician.
Right.
He needs to be a motivator, an inspirer, a leader who can rally his troops and lead them through adversity.
So basically, he needs to channel his inner pep talk guru.
Yeah, pretty much.
But seriously, how does he do that?
It's a challenge, no doubt, but I think it starts with acknowledging the problems,
Okay.
addressing them head on, instilling a sense of urgency in his players. He needs to make them understand that this slump is not acceptable,
Right.
that they're capable of so much more.
Remind them they're Chelsea Football Club.
Exactly.
They're not supposed to be languishing in mid-table.
Exactly.
Come on, guys.
They need to rediscover that hunger, that desire to win every single game.
Yeah.
Because right now, they're looking a bit lost,
A bit lost, yeah.
unsure of themselves.
So what do the experts think?
Yeah.
Can Chelsea turn things around?
Well, the consensus seems to be cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
Most experts acknowledge that Chelsea is facing a real crisis,
Yeah.
but they also recognize the talent within the squad.
Yeah, they're not suddenly a bad team.
Exactly. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
So they're not ready to throw in the towel just yet.
Okay.
But they're also not blindly optimistic. There's a sense that Maresca needs to prove himself,
Yeah.
show that he can adapt and evolve as a manager.
Because right now it does seem like he's a little stuck in his ways.
A little bit. Yeah.
And if he doesn't change, it could cost him his job.
Yeah. That's the reality of the situation. The pressure is mounting.
Right.
And the board will be watching closely. If Chelsea keeps dropping points, they might decide a change is needed.
So the stakes are even higher than we initially thought.
Yeah, for sure.
This isn't just about Chelsea salvaging their season.
Right.
It's about Maresca's future as a manager.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this whole situation so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a story with so many layers.
Yeah.
The team's performance, the manager's tactics, the player's mentality.
Pressure from the fans, the board.
Exactly. It's like a real-life football drama unfolding before our eyes.
It really is.
And we're only halfway through the season.
Oh, yeah.
There's still so much that can happen.
So where do we go from here? Like,
Yeah.
what should we be looking out for?
I think there are 3 key things to watch closely.
Okay, hit me.
First, their upcoming fixtures.
Okay.
They've got some really tough matches coming up. Liverpool, Manchester City.
Yeah, those are going to be...
Those are going to be real tests of character and tactical flexibility.
Yeah, if they can grind out some results in those matches,
Yeah.
that could be the confidence boost they need.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, a string of bad results against those top teams
Yeah.
could be really damaging to their morale.
Right, make it even harder to turn things around.
Exactly.
So big matches coming up.
Big matches.
What else?
Second, the January transfer window is just around the corner.
Right.
Be interesting to see if Chelsea dips into the market to bolster their squad.
I mean, considering how thin they are.
Yeah. Threadbare, remember?
I've read there.
Especially in certain areas.
Yeah.
And finally, I think we need to keep a close eye on Maresca himself.
Okay.
Will he stick to his guns and continue with his current approach?
Yeah.
Or will he be willing to adapt and evolve?
Because if he doesn't, it could be curtains.
Absolutely. The pressure is on. The spotlight is firmly fixed on Enzo Maresca.
Okay, so we've got these big matches coming up, transfer windows right around the corner, and all eyes on Maresca to see if he's going to switch things up.
It's going to be an interesting few weeks.
Definitely, you've given us a lot to think about.
And remember, it's not just about those big picture things.
Right.
Like we talked about digging into those individual player stats.
Yeah.
That could reveal some hidden gems, you know?
Yeah.
A player who's maybe been underperforming but has the potential to break out.
Like Madueke and Nito, we talked about them.
Exactly.
They haven't been lighting it up this season.
Right.
Maybe they just need a little spark, a little
bit of confidence, yeah.
a bit of magic
Exactly.
to get them going.
And think about Philip Jorgensen.
Yeah.
He got that starting goal against Brighton, right?
Yeah.
After Sanchez's struggles. If he can string together a few solid performances, that could be huge for the team.
Yeah, it's almost like a domino effect,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
A few good individual performances lead to more confidence, better results.
Yeah.
Maybe even a change in the whole team's mentality.
Momentum is everything in football.
For sure.
Yeah.
And what about the experts? What are they saying? We touched on it earlier. Are they generally optimistic that Chelsea can turn things around?
It's a mixed bag, to be honest.
Okay.
Some pundits are already writing them off,
Yeah.
saying the damage is done, Maresca's the wrong man for the job.
Right.
But others are more cautious, saying it's too early to panic. Chelsea still has the quality to make a run.
So I guess it's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah. Classic glass half full, glass half empty situation.
Right.
And that's the beauty of football, right?
Yeah.
There's always room for debate, different interpretations, passionate arguments about tactics and players and managers.
I mean, it wouldn't be the same without those heated debates.
Absolutely not.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it all comes down to what happens on the pitch.
100%, yeah.
So the players have to step up. Maresca's got to make the right decisions,
Yeah.
and the fans got to keep
Give
believing.
your face.
If they can do all that,
Yeah.
maybe they can pull themselves out of this hole.
It's a long shot, but stranger things have happened in football.
For sure, we've seen teams come back from worse.
Remember Leicester winning the Premier League?
Yeah,
Nobody gave them a chance.
what a story that was.
And look what they achieved.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I love this sport.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the big takeaway from this deep dive.
Yeah.
Chelsea's at a crossroads, but their fate is far from sealed. They still have the power to write their own story.
And that's what we'll be watching for in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah.
Will they rise to the challenge or will they crumble under the pressure?
Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Well said. I gotta say, I'm even more invested in this whole Chelsea saga now.
But thanks to you, I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of the challenges they're facing.
Of course.
All the different paths they could take.
My pleasure. That's what the deep dive is all about.
Yeah.
Helping you see the bigger picture, connect the dots,
Yeah.
gain a more nuanced understanding of the topics that matter to you.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What do you think will happen with Chelsea?
Yeah.
Can they turn things around?
Big question.
Or is this the beginning of the end for their title hopes?
Think about it, discuss it.
Let's see how this story unfolds.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep the passion for the beautiful game alive.
Cheers.